Ladies and gentlemen, Violent Bob Ross is violent. I think that's one thing that we learned this week. I'm making a joke, but that's just a weird situation. Hopefully that gets figured out. Also, another thing is, please never underestimate these cards, because I swear every time it looks like it's a seemingly, I'll put in quotes, underwhelming card, it always exceeds expectations. And just another example of UFC Vegas 29 being some people flying under the radar except for the main event. But man, this was one hell of a card, and I cannot wait to get into all of this because, of course, I'm your host, Ross Allen, joined alongside by UFC correspondent Blake. Blake, how are you doing, especially after this huge main event between the Korean Zombie and Dan Ige?
I'm a little hot right now. My AC is broken at home, so I apologize if you guys see some sweat droplets on my forehead today. But other than that, I am amazing and very thankful for the UFC putting on such amazing shows.
It isn't so good how even seemingly bad shows could be this damn good.
I
Oh,
wouldn't say seemingly bad. I would just say seemingly, you just don't have the star power on some of these cards. We have the main event where they're two very recognizable names supposed to
yeah.
carry the card. But in actuality, everyone carried their own weight on this card. I mean, we started the main card off with 3 KOs. There's
Mm-hmm.
finishes galore all around this card. Everyone was in interesting fights. Shout out Marlon Vera, Davey Grant. I mean, there were just some awesome fights on this card.
Shout out to that canvas afterward because that thing was
Yeah,
covered.
I had some of my friends over watching the fights, and they're not, they don't watch UFC very often. And one of my friends, Gian, was like, "Yo, are they going to clean the mat?" And I was like, "You go here, bro." Like, no, they're
No,
just
it
going to keep
dries.
fighting.
Just hey,
Yeah, they'll be
everyone's
all right. Everyone's
tested.
tested. Yeah,
We
everyone's
don't
tested
got
for Hep C and
diseases.
all that
We're
stuff. We're
good.
good.
Hey,
Yeah,
if you test for one, or you can test for anything else, so it's all good.
yeah.
But before we get into the card breakdown, just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. First off, for all of your sports prop betting needs, there is one place and one place only that you should be looking for, and that is Thrive Fantasy. So go on over to thrivefantasy.com or download the Thrive Fantasy app on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store and get started today. And if you put a deposit down to $20 or up to $50, they will match you dollar per dollar if you use promo code fourth and long. That is all caps with the number 4. So if you want a spot where it takes no effort to get betting done, it takes no preparation, they got everything lined up for you, and for a cool twist on it with a little bit of games how you do your betting, this is a really great site and I highly recommend it, so go check them out today. Now, of course, if you're looking to become a member of a very prestigious group of people known as Fourth and Long patrons, you can head on over to patreon.com/Fourth and Long to become a member of this group today. Just $1 a month gets you behind the scenes access, bonus content, lets you in on a little bit of extra stuff, and you can just go on over there, check out the 3 tiers that we got, and feel like which one works best for you and to see which benefits you want the most. So like I said, patreon.com/Fourth and Long. But the first thing with UFC Vegas 29 that we got to take a look at, Blake, is, of course, the best part about every week is Blake's bangers. So we got to ask the question, did they hit? I think that's a resounding yes, Blake. So hats off to you, my friend. Another good week of calls. Take a bow. It's always great. Normally they hit, unless you're taking off the card. So we've had that happen. We had for 2 cards in a row, we had the Blake's bangers curse going on, didn't we?
We had a little COVID curse going on. It's all good though. The only thing that can stop Blake's bangers from hitting is divine intervention. So I'm okay with that.
It's almost like you kind of know what you're talking about, which is great. So
Just not with who I picked to win. I'm kind of off on that. I'll give you a little credit lately.
hey, thank you. I got the predictions. You got the fights. You know what fights to look out for. Okay, so
Oh, yeah.
so we got a good.
I know who's
duo.
going to be punching people in the face the most.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. And although this first fight wasn't really much of punching people in the face, we did get some people going to sleep due to lack of blood going to the brain. I mean, Casey O'Neill, a hot prospect in this flyweight division, coming onto the scene, climbs to 7-0 and gets a big rear naked choke onto Laura Prosopio. And, man, gets a standing rear naked choke, puts her to sleep in round 3. This was one hell of a performance and a really good way to get the card started.
Yep, definitely. It's always nice when there's more players getting involved in the flyweight division landscape because I mean you look at the top and it's really Valentina and who her next victim is. So
Victim. It's not even a fight, man. It's just a mugging.
yeah, it's just always exciting to see upcoming talent in that division, someone that might possibly give her a good fight one of these days. So
Right.
yeah, exciting.
What I like most about new names to like this division, or like the bantamweight, or I guess kind of I'll put in quotes a featherweight division in the women's, even though that doesn't really exist. It's
Probably not.
just bigger bantamweights for Amanda Nunes, so she can get more rubies on that second belt that she got. But it's always great seeing these names pop up in these divisions because there's always a question: can she do it? And almost all the time, it's no, she can't. But at least we can ask the question again, man. Fresh blood is all we need.
Yeah, at least it's a new question.
Right?
We don't like seeing the same questions over and over again.
No, it's kind of tough, man. But kind of is what it is at that landscape of the women's divisions at this point. And the second card of the night, man. I mean, normally we have about 5 or 6 solid fights that we want to talk about per card. But we're going to talk about pretty much every fight because, man, all these fights are really damn good. This next one, Ricky Glenn getting done against Joaquim Silva from a fat left hook. Who best to have on commentary than Left Hook Larry himself, seeing a giant left hook, landing 37 seconds into the fight. And this was, man, hot, really fast paced to this card.
He got 2 knockdowns too in what? Like less than a minute?
Yeah. The fight lasted 37 seconds. He got 2 knockdowns in like the first 20.
Yeah. So I mean, dude has power in his hands, so definitely a name I'm going to be looking out for.
I mean, how can you not? Ricky Glenn, he's going to be looking to put a little bit more of a statement on this lightweight division. That really just goes to show you how freaking loaded that division is in the UFC, man. Like, how do you have all these people, all these unranked people, all these fresh people making names like this? Like, is there a more loaded division in all of MMA?
For me, I mean, I think 135, 145, 155, they're all stacked.
Yeah. I love it, man. And then, even better performance for Glenn just because this was his first fight since November of 2018. So, sometimes ring rust is a thing. Other times, hell nah. That just doesn't exist, I guess. And then, I mean, the next fight, Josh Parisian versus Rocky Martinez. We'll talk about that once at the end of our card recap, just because got asked some questions about the judging and in MMA in particular, especially look what happened to Roy McDonald over there at PFL. We're going to ask a question once we get to that. But the next fight that we're going to talk about is one of Blake's bangers, Chaos Williams against Matthew Semelsberger, former football player. Both these guys actually is what it was. But Chaos Williams, he climbs to 12-2, and he's been looking good during his time in the UFC. And this just was another really solid performance by him.
Yeah, and we were talking about this before we started recording too. We both agreed the fight was getting really close in rounds 2 and 3, but the biggest difference was Matthew was throwing 1 or 2 shot combinations at the most, and Chaos would return. Anytime he would get hit, he would return with a flurry of, at least 5 punches, and he's landing at least 2 of those. I really just think his activity and his kind of just volume really took over that fight. It was too little too late for Matthew in rounds 2 and 3.
Which, I mean, it's still a really good performance, and it's really cool to see what Chaos has been doing. He's had a really solid first handful of fights on the UFC roster. A lot of knockouts. I mean, this dude's just a finished machine. So hopefully we just see him keep on climbing the ranks in the welterweight division. Hell, I guess, Blake, if you want to ask questions about the women's flyweight division, maybe Chaos Williams is a guy that's going to be Kamaru Usman in, 3 years. So, probably not going to hold my breath, but I guess we'll wait and see. Man. But this next fight, let's admit, over, the last few of her fights, we've kind of poked some fun at her with Verna Yonderoba, especially kind of What eye to look at during the post-fight interviews that she's had, but she's been winning. And man, this was another solid win for her, for the former Invicta champion. But Kanako Murata, she's a tough mother, man.
Yes.
How?
Yes.
How?
So first, what I have to say is this was probably the performance for me, for Virna Jandiroba, however you say her name. I apologize to all the Brazilians.
They're going
But
to
I
choke
mean,
you out, Blake. Watch out, man.
dude, I know I'm gonna have the Gracies after me.
So if they're going, not even going to choke you out, they're going to be unmerciful, man. They're going to put you in a heel hook.
This fight right here, man, it really showed me that she is a dominant force in this division. She's here to stay in the straw weights. That fight against Mackenzie Dern, she was still looking pretty impressive, but Dern was just a level above her that night. And then also Murata, I mean, like you were saying, tough as nails. The fact that she dislocated her arm, I think at the beginning of the second round.
Like halfway through the second round,
Yeah.
the latest.
Yeah, it was whenever she got put into that little like arm bar or whatever, kind of triangle almost. It looks
Not
like
as bad as the Paul Craig one, but dislocation is dislocation.
but still, you could, and the announcers picked up on it pretty quick because they were noticing she wasn't raising. I think it was her left arm to block any punches. It was just kind of hanging hip height, and the fact that she was able to get through the round while Virna was throwing some crazy shots at her. I mean, she was landing some brutal shots. I mean, head kicks, punches, elbows. I mean, it didn't really matter. She was doing everything and anything she wanted. For her to stay in there and the doctor to come in and stop it, I have a lot of respect for Murata, and it was actually really emotional for me when she started breaking down and crying in the ring, or the octagon, excuse me. And you could just see the heart on her. You could see that it meant a lot to her, and it definitely hurt me a little bit seeing her lose like that. But at the same time, you can't be anything but happy for Virna with such an amazing performance. I mean, she put the girl away. You can't knock anything that she did, and you can't really fault the opponent either. I mean, it was just a display of toughness and also a display of just great skill.
Yeah. Man. I mean, Verna, it's almost like she's going to be near the top, or like at least the middle of the pack of like the top 10 of this division. Is she going to be able to put enough together to really contend? I'm not sure. Is she?
If her striking looks like that, man, I don't know if it was just who she was facing on Saturday, but if she came out looking like that against Mackenzie Dern, I think that's a different fight.
Yes.
Because it wasn't the Dern fight. Didn't she bust her nose in that fight too?
Yeah. I think you made a great point, though, saying with your statement that this is like her statement win, at least of the ones we've seen in like the last year and a half or so from her. And so this could be the breakthrough that maybe we've been looking for, but it's always going to be nice if at least have some more competition at the top of this division. So I'm never going to complain. Solid win for her, and then hopefully Kanako is able to get that arm healed up soon so she can get back in there sooner rather than later. The next fight here between Nick Negamorano and Leska Kamur. This is another one that we'll talk about after we're done with this. Another split decision. Something else we'll have to say about that. But man, that takes us to the main card, and it started off with a really good fight because his nickname, the Immortal Matt Brown, really is one of those nicknames that makes a lot of sense because this guy is just never going to go away. It's crazy how long he's been lasting in this game, especially the fight game where you don't see a lot of old guys. It's dominated by the young. He's been here for a while. He has no signs of slowing down because he beats the second Lima brother, and some bad week if your last name was Lima, quite frankly. But he lands this huge one-hit KO from a right cross there in round 2 of this fight. He is now tied for most knockouts in UFC history. He is up there with none other than TRT Vitor Belfort himself, and then of course the Black Beast Derek Lewis. Blake, what were your thoughts on this fight, man? I thought it's fantastic seeing Matt Brown keep on performing so well.
Yeah, I mean, how can you not root for a guy like that? 40 years old, still kicking ass. I thought it was very interesting, the history that they shared, the fact that he had already fought his brother back in the day and beat him. and the fact that he had actually coached him with TJ Dillashaw on Tough back in the day. So there was familiarity between the two of them, and I think you could tell that in the first round. It was a little bit slower in the first round, a lot more leg kicks, feeling out process, and then the second round, Matt Brown just comes out and knocks him down. It'd be weird. I mean, I wonder what the emotions are. I guess you're kind of when you're a fighter, you kind of put that all aside, but still, I feel like you would kind of develop a decent relationship when you're coaching someone on Tough, and you're training together and all that jazz, and you get to know them a little bit, right? Like more than just the fighter, but also the person as well.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, that was mostly what I was thinking of, other than the fight, just the dynamic between those two. But I mean, the fight itself is a banger, man. I mean, that might have been able to be a Blake's Bangers. I mean, shoot, this 40-year-old man out here still whipping ass. So good for him, man.
Yeah, it's some good stuff. But now with his continual amount of success that we've seen from Matt Brown over just years, man. Unfortunately, it looks like over the last 4 years, he's been getting one fight a year. But where do you think? I mean, although his record isn't the best, but given what he's been able to do with the KOs and with how long he's been in the game, at least in terms of notable welterweight fighters, where do you think he might stand in the all-time rankings for this division?
In the all-time rankings,
Can you
I don't know.
top
That's
20?
for sure. I mean, for sure, I have to look at it, but I mean, just look at his resume. I mean, he's in the top place for knockouts now.
Yeah.
I mean,
he could easily get another.
Sharing that honor with Derek Lewis and who was the other guy you said?
TRT Vitor.
TRT Vitor. I was about to say Tito Ortiz. I was like, that is not right. Yeah, I mean,
man, wouldn't that be a fight?
Awesome.
Tito Ortiz versus TRT Vitor.
Yeah, I don't know. I think TRT is he would have took him out pretty bad.
Ooh, it did take someone's eye.
They count. But yeah, I don't know. I'd really have to sit down and look at a list and determine. But I mean, just off the top of my head, top 20 sounds easy for the Immortal to be in. I mean, that sounds super easy.
Top 10 will get hard, but I mean, top 20, he's around the names of guys like, I guess, Josh Koscheck, Thiago Alves, Nick Diaz, BJ Penn. Roy McDonald is still maybe outside the top 10.
I think you could still put him in there because he was a perennial title challenger.
Yeah.
He was taking on all the best guys all the time. Unfortunately never went his way in the ultimate battle, in the final battle.
Right. Matt Brown's one of those great cases of where don't get attached to how the record looks, because although it might not look the best, this dude is a fighter, man, and so he deserves a lot of respect for his career. I'm glad that it's going strong still. So it's really cool to see that, man. Really cool to see. It just proves, I swear, I guess you're never too old for anything. Especially when it comes to knocking people out. So, Matt Brown, keep doing what you're doing. But if we're talking about knockouts, let's look to this debut of Bruno Silva taking on Wellington Turman. And I don't think I've seen a knockout in this fashion before, Blake, because Bruno Silva, Brazilian, both these guys Brazilian, but Bruno Silva, especially with a really, really well put together grappling game. He gets into top mount on Wellington Turman against the cage, and he lands this. I mean, he's hitting him from this onto the side of his head from top mount, and gets a knockout in that way after a couple punches. Like I said, I don't think I've really seen a knockout like that before.
Yeah, it was 5 or 6, really just brutal hooks from ground and pound.
They didn't look huge, but obviously they were landing flush.
You could see the force though that they were. I mean, I want to say about the third one that he landed, you could just see Wellington Turman's eyes just roll back to his head.
Yeah, it was bad.
And I think he kind of just accepted that position a little too much. I know you're a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt, whatever the case may be. Pretty much any Brazilian is, I would think.
That's what it looks like. And now we got a South Korean. We'll get to the Korean.
But that just proves, man, you cannot accept those positions.
Mm-hmm.
That guy Bruno Silva has dynamite in his hands. I mean, jeez, that was a scary knockout to watch a little bit. It was almost Francis Ngannou-ish.
It was good though, and so I'm super excited to see Bruno Silva's next fight, because if this guy could not only get you to the ground and beat that overwhelming grappler, but also have the power in his hands. That just breathe. That just is nothing but excitement. You know.
Yep. I mean, you're going to be in a bad spot anywhere you take him, anywhere he takes you. He can finish the fight from wherever it looks like. Just from the one fight that we've seen so far, he showed great defense. He showed phenomenal offense. I'm very excited for his next fight.
Right, and then going from one Blitzbangers fight, let's talk about a guy that you're probably going to have to circle any other card he's on. Talking Sung Woo Choi against Julian Erosa. And oh boy, I mean, Michael Bisping, like I already said this with one of the first fights, or the second fight of the card. Well, Michael Bisping beyond commentary might have inspired some left hook Larrys, because we get another one in this one. Oh, he lands this massive, massive left hook onto Rosa, drops him, finishes him off. I mean, the fight was finished as soon as he landed that punch. And this was really good. This gets a performance of the night bonus. And man, just what a fight, man. It only lasted a minute and a half, but I loved it.
This guy is firmly on my radar now. I mean, I didn't really know too much about him coming into this weekend, but I mean, I learned everything I needed to know watching that fight. This guy is explosive. He, just very methodical, I think, with his approach, and he just commits fully. I mean, the strikes that he was landing in that fight, they're like hammers, bro. I mean, my God, he freaking knocked that guy into next week.
Mm-hmm. That was tough. Really just blew him away, man. So, if you're a South Korea on this card, it was a good night for you guys, because either you're getting main event wins or you're getting performance bonuses. So, really good stuff. I'm looking forward to the next time he's on the card. But if we're speaking about performances, let's talk about the fight of the night with Marlon Chito Vera. And I mean, yeah, beating Sugar Sean was a huge win, but this maybe almost solidifies his spot within the rankings of this bantamweight division, because he was unranked, beat Sugar Sean, now at number 15, and he gets his first win as a ranked fighter in the rematch against Davey Grant. And it was a really good first fight between the two. And man, this second fight exceeded the first one, and this is just really damn good stuff for 3 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, the first round, Davey Grant, I think he took it just a little bit, just because Vera, I think, came out a little gun shy and maybe just trying to feel him out a little bit.
Yeah, but what happened between the first and the second?
Yeah, I mean, I think his coach Perillo got into his head a little bit, let him know, like, hey, man, we put all the preparation in, like, just let it go. Go out there and have fun. And I think he went out there and had a lot of fun, because he beat the crap out of Davey Grant, man.
That was tough, man. But like I was saying, huge, big win for Chito Vera here. So let's look into kind of talk about who he should fight next then. Of course, he called out the man on commentary that night, Dominic Cruz, and that led to, I think, one of my favorite pictures I've seen in MMA. I don't know if you guys have seen this. If you want to see the picture, you can go on over to our Twitter or Instagram right now. In Twitter, at Fourth Long Radio, Instagram, at Fourth Long Radio, if you're on YouTube. Everything's in the description, or you can go to thefourthlong.com and you can find everything there. But funny picture, after Chito Vera calls out Dom Cruz, they're in the backstage. Dominic Cruz, I guess he's getting changed after, maybe he's getting changed into his clothes to go home. I mean, he's in that suit the whole time, so he's changed up. But you get Chito Vera next to pantless Dominic Cruz, and both their faces were fantastic.
Yeah, I would love to know that conversation. I would love to be a fly on the wall for that.
Right.
I'm probably saying, yeah, keep dreaming, boy. And Cheeto's like, yeah, I'll beat your ass.
So is that your thoughts about the call-out? What do you think about this call-out specifically?
So for Cheeto, I love it. If I'm a Cheeto fan and I'm Marlon Chito Vera, that's the right call-out. I mean, in terms of just what you should be going for, right? Mm-hmm. You would want the biggest name, the highest ranking, for the quickest way to the top.
Yeah. So
nothing on Cheeto. Although the call out in general, I just personally don't think it's the best fight to make right now. Mm-hmm. I totally understand where Dom is coming from. I mean, on commentary, he basically said not interested, trying to fight, higher ranked opponents. And I think he kind of gets that. He has the clout. He has the name. He's arguably the greatest of all time. Mm-hmm. For the time being.
Yeah.
a pioneer of the sport for the quote unquote little guys.
Oh, 100%.
Um,
And now he's just a fantastic commentator, man.
yeah, and so I get that. So let's kind of scrap that Dom fight and talk
Mm.
about the other options that are out there on the table.
Yeah.
Me and you looked through the rankings, and the guys that we were really comfortable with were from the 14 to 10 range.
Yeah.
And we decided, well, we didn't decide, but we found out
Dominic
that
Cruz, with that being my right now, Dominic Cruz being right there at 9, so just within inside that top 10.
right.
Yeah.
I think so. Long story short, I think Cheeto's one step away, and the two guys that are free right now that don't have a fight lined up would be number 12 and number 13, Jimmy Rivera and Cody Stamann, respectively.
Mm-hmm.
I think either one of those fights would be a freaking amazing fight. Um, and I think that would put him at, like, if he wins another, like, right, because that's his last fight. I don't think Cheeto won, did he?
Cheeto, yeah, he lost after that Sugar Sean fight, didn't he? Or
Yeah,
where
so he lost to Aldo. Remember, he lost to
yeah.
Aldo in a pretty easy decision, I would say.
Yeah, not
So
that guy to lose to at least.
So I mean, 1-1, right? In his last two fights, I
Yeah.
think you need to get one more win, and then you can make the big call out. You need to fight another guy that is just a step above you in the rankings. Really cement that you're here and you're here to stay, and you're chomping at the bit to get that big name. Then I think he can go ahead and make the Dom Cruz call outs, the Munoz call outs, the Garbrandt call outs, all those kind of guys. All those options open up as long as you take care of a number 10 through 14.
Yeah. But a little more, I guess you want to say, realistic call out. We're kind of looking at Cody or Jimmy Rivera and Cody Stamann with this one. And which one out of those two would you prefer? Out of those top 10, or I guess those other 5, they're the only ones without a fight booked right now.
Yeah.
So it's going to be one of those two if you want to look at booking a fight sooner rather than later, which is I think the smart choice for Cheeto because he gets this huge win. I think you ride that hot streak, you get another name on your list, so you can get, like you're saying, to one of these upper echelon kind of names quicker. So I think that'd be a smart thing to do. Which fight do you think would be the best one for Cheeto?
I think Rivera probably carries a little more weight than Stamann, just because, I mean, A, Rivera's beat Stamann, and B, Rivera's fought the best in the world. He's fought Jan, he's fought Aljamain, he's fought Uriah Faber, he's fought all these guys that are just,
Rivera's fought some absolute killers, man.
So I think if he could add a name like Rivera to his list, to his resume, and get a dub over him, there's no more who or yous. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's going to know who he is. I mean, I'm pretty sure almost everyone does know already. But I'm just saying, there's no way you can make that excuse anymore. He's not going to be able to run into that excuse.
Yeah. I agree with that one. I like that fight. Would love to see that. I think the thing is he might need to wait a little bit longer before he gets into, like, those top names. I don't think it's a worse thing playing it a little bit slow. It might have been like kind of jumping the gun. He beat Sugar Sean. Let's give him Jose Aldo. So that matchmaking might have been like going a little too quick, trying to go off of that. So if you take a little bit more of a slow burn, I think Cheeto could have a lot of success in this division. Just ultimately comes to who they put in front of him and at what time in his career, you know?
Yep, he's got to get the results.
Nothing wrong with that one though, but Cheeto, he's definitely looking like he's going to be one of these top fighters, man, and that's exciting. And then let's head on over to the headliner of this card, Blake, between Chan Sung Jung, the Korean Zombie, and Dan Ige. This was a highly anticipated fight, and it did not fail to live up to expectations. This is a really, really solid fight. Not in terms of what we were thinking, though. Both you and I thought that Dan Ige was going to be able to get it done, but Chan Sung Jung, man, this guy looked vintage Korean Zombie in this one. I mean, after like the first 2 minutes of the fight, I already forgot about his fight against Brian Ortega. But with that one, though, so with this performance, almost a lights out showing, whether it be on the ground, dominated Dan Ige on the ground, got the best of him more often than not on the feet. At least through 2 or 3 of the rounds, the Green Zombie was looking better there too. So, with how bad, like quite frankly, the Korean Zombie, he looked bad against Brian Ortega a number of months ago. So
did he look bad though, or did Ortega just do that well?
That's what I was going to ask. Which one do you think it is? Did Zombie have a bad night, or is Ortega just that damn good?
I hate to say someone had a bad night. I
Uh-huh.
don't know what's going on. We're not in their bodies, we're not in their minds. We don't
Or a
know
bad night, as in, was he bad that fight, or in like?
exactly, and that's what I'm saying. There's no way I could speak to that.
Okay.
But I mean, judging from the rest of his fights and
Uh-huh.
how those all went, that was easily probably his worst night at the office. I mean,
Yes. At least
even
in no
including the
years.
Yair Rodriguez finish, because
Mm-hmm.
he was winning that whole fight. It wasn't like he was getting dominated like he
No.
was in the Brian Ortega fight.
Brian
Um,
Ortega's that good, I guess.
so Brian Ortega, man, he's special to me. Not in a homosexual way, no offense. But
Jeez.
I have nothing against that. Just saying.
Hey,
Go
Brian
Raiders!
Ortega
First
is
actively
a
gay
handsome
man in NFL. Let's go.
It's right. Hey, but Brian Ortega, that's a handsome man. You know, if he said,
He
hey,
is.
hey,
He's a
Ross,
good-looking
let's
guy.
go get dinner, I'm like,
Except for the bald. I didn't like the bald look. I didn't like that very
hey,
much.
even the shoot, I even think he pulled off the bald look.
Nah, he needs that hair, bro. He needs that hair for sure. But back to the question. Korean Zombie, I think, yes, that might have been his most difficult night at the office, so to say. I don't think it was completely his fault. That might have been a tricky fight for him too, because remember that was a very emotional buildup, and it was also very long. Like there was,
Well, he
I
got
think,
translator slapped, man. The hype man got slapped.
it was one of his homies. I don't know if it was his manager, but it was one of his dudes on his team. It's a K-pop star, so he has a very fragile ego.
Right.
Probably was crying.
Oh, Blake, you're gonna get destroyed by all those really crazy, awful K-pop fans.
Yeah, whatever. I'll take him on.
Yeah.
But that could have played a factor as well too, because in this matchup where there wasn't any animosity, there wasn't any emotions, Korean Zombie looked locked in, dialed in. I mean, dude was sticking to the game plan. So yeah, I think that's what Zombie has to do, is just stick to his game plan and not go out there and fight people like he did Ortega, because I mean, he was kind of, what was weird is he was kind of getting exploited with those spinning shots. I didn't see Ige hit any spinning shots. And that was like the first time in a couple fights where I haven't seen the Korean Zombie get hit with some crazy
you want
stuff
to see
like
some
that.
crazy, or what's the quote? Some crazy spinny shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I think Zombie made all the right adjustments in this fight camp.
Yes.
I think he was focused. He had the perfect game plan, and he executed it perfectly as well.
But
so,
Brian
I mean,
Ortega, man, that's a bad man. I guess not only is he undefeated and tough right now after 3 episodes, he's 3-0. And so what size?
I thought they were setting Team Ortega up to lose this week. I thought they were going to make Trayshawn Gore look like some over emotional, just like, I don't know, man.
No,
and
but
I was
Trayshawn Gore
completely
said-
proven wrong.
But by his dream about his grandma, I was like, oh. As soon as I saw that episode, I mean, working on a little bit tangent here. Let's talk some tough real quick. I was like, oh, this man's winning. Also, would like to point out that after the first episode, my prediction for who's going to win was Trayshawn Gore. So he's on his way right now. I'm feeling good with that.
That whole episode 3, I was thinking the whole time, either this guy is going to look like the biggest douchebag for losing and crying and like all that stuff, and just like continuously getting in that guy's face. Like how awkward was that to watch last week, bro?
It was.
He just keeps
the
going up to
stare
him.
down was kind of funny.
I was like, dude, why don't you just leave him alone, bro? Leave poor Ryder alone. My God. Just let him
hey,
eat
what did
food.
Ryder do to you? I thought you guys were bros, but no.
Right? Like, man.
It was a good episode, though.
was
And
great.
I've been seeing some people feeling like, I mean, our friends over the Slip the Jab podcast, they've been kind of being some downers on the season. I don't understand. I've been entertained by the season. I guess some of the criticism, like, there's not like that drama or that big drive, but
Like the Spike TV days.
I think I might like it more.
I think the thing is too, bro, is everyone grew up watching this show. Like every contestant for the most, I mean, I would be shocked if there was a contestant on this show, unless maybe they came from, like the other side of the world. That
like our
hasn't grown
boy
up watching it.
Shalini, and shout out to him because he found us on Instagram and Twitter, and that guy needs some more followers. So go
Yeah, I have
follow
more
that
followers than him. That's unacceptable.
man. Especially Blake. Who wants to
but
follow Blake?
I think all these guys have grown up watching this show, and so they've seen all the crazy asses, all the guys that have won, the guys that have burnt out, and they understand they're here for a reason. They're here for a contract. They seem this is like probably one of the most focused groups I've seen. I mean, there's really
love it. I'm a
there's
fan.
really not too many guys so far that have looked like goofballs. I mean, maybe that'll change over the course of the season.
Yeah, still young.
And it
Still young.
also does have a big way, a big thing to do with how they cut it as well and how
Hmm.
they edit it. Because keep
Yeah,
in mind, all of this is happening within the span of like what I think like
5 weeks.
yeah, like 5, 6 weeks.
Yeah,
So much is happening, and it's not always going to be in chronological order. It's
no.
just however the season went. So I think people got to keep that in mind a little bit. I think the drama will come eventually, especially between the coaches.
Well, it
I think
looks
they're
like
setting that
episode
up a little
4 might
bit.
be picking up.
Yeah. So I mean, I really have no complaints so far.
Yeah.
I like seeing the guys go in there, kind of being like a almost like contender series, show almost,
Hmm.
rather than more of a tough show.
Hmm. And both are great. Both are great, but I like this little new mix of it, and I think it's been a really entertaining season so far. But tangent over, back to Korean Zombie and Dan Ige here. Let's and one of the crazy thing is that Chan Sung Jung, he dislocated his arm in the second, and within that round he popped it back in. I guess he popped his shoulder back into the socket by hitting Dan Ige or something like that. So that's not easy, and I know I think I dislocated my left shoulder like 15, 20 times before I got surgery on it, and it doesn't feel good. You can't use it. So hey, that's impressive stuff there. But let's look at the next fights for these guys. So after the fight, the Korean Zombie, after getting his black belt in jiu-jitsu, which is cool to see. I always love that stuff. He called out Max Holloway. Then I guess in the post-fight press conference, he said that Max Holloway hits soft, and he just lands a bunch of punches without really doing too much damage. So I love that call out with that one. So I think Holloway would be a great fight, or Volkanovski if and when he loses to Brian Ortega in September.
Yeah, if the Rodriguez fight is off the table for Holloway, and
Yeah.
if Rodriguez wants to stay in there and
Honestly,
fight
I'd much rather this fight
someone else
anyway than
no, this fight definitely gets me a little more pumped up, and that's no offense to Yair. It's just like the Korean Zombie is just an anomaly,
he's the Korean Zombie, man. What
yeah.
other guy's named Zombie?
This has a little bit better of a ring to it, Blessed Express versus the Korean Zombie.
That's good.
I think it's just an amazing fight to make, especially since Korean Zombie just got done fighting, so he'll get a 1 to 2 month layoff,
Yeah.
and that should give Max whatever his injury. I don't know if his injury's been if he's come out about it yet and confirmed it, but hopefully that 1 or 2 months would give him enough time to rest back up and get back into fight camp again, and maybe get this fight by September or October.
See, my whole thing here, though, is although I would love this fight, and I respected Max for taking a fight, especially against a dangerous guy like Yair Rodriguez, without needing to, because he's essentially guaranteed a title shot once Ortega and Volkanovski happens, And so I'm almost not sold on the fact that Max Holloway, although I respect it, and I would never say no to watching a Max Holloway fight, would never be disappointed. I'm almost so weary if he should even be taking a fight, especially with the injury that he suffered in camp. It's almost like, might play it safe and just wait out for your title shot. What do you think he should do here? Should he take this fight against like Zombie, or should he just wait to fight the winner of Ortega and Volk?
Man, when is that fight taking place? September. For Vulcan? Yeah. I don't know. I think it just depends if he wants to fight or not. If he wants to fight, I still think he's the best in the 145-pound division.
Yes.
So I think someone's going to have a perfect night in order to beat him.
Yes.
So I say, yeah, why not take it?
Or a favorable night from the judges if you're Volkanovski.
Yeah.
In the second fight. In the first fight, yes, he beat Max Holloway. Second fight, I don't know, man.
I think Max, anytime seeing him fight, I get super happy. So if he wants to fight, that's awesome. I'm all for it. If he doesn't want to fight, I completely understand, because he is in a tricky situation right now. Like, he's basically 1A to the champion, and even though number 2 is getting to fight, he is by I would say by everyone's estimates the next guy that's going to be challenging for it, whether Brian wins or Volkanovski wins. So Yeah, he could go either way. I personally would rather see him fight the Korean Zombie just because that's just a phenomenal fight. They haven't fought yet. I mean, those are two of the best
Right?
at what they
How have they
do.
not fought yet?
Love to see it, you know.
It's crazy. Yeah, I'm super excited for that. So
For
whatever.
Dan Ige though, let me give you a name for Dan Ige.
Ooh, let's get into it. Dan Ige, Blake, who should he fight next? After dropping, he's now 0-2 in main events. How could he pick himself back up after this fight?
Put him on a pay-per-view against none other than Edson Barboza.
Even though they already fought?
Yes.
Okay. Go for the rematch.
Yes.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
because Giga is Giga fighting or not?
Giga is still like he doesn't know what they're doing. He wants to now fight the quote unquote pussy Yair Rodriguez. So I got fingers crossed for that fight. That'd be really good.
I wouldn't mind seeing Giga fight Dan or or even Arnold Allen. I don't know if Allen has a fight coming up.
Allen does not have a fight.
So I'd say between those three, even though Ige already beat Barboza,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't mind seeing that fight again.
Oh,
I'd
I
love
would
to see,
not mind. That'd be such a good fight.
yeah, like it'd be a firefight. So I think anyone between Arnold Allen at 7, Edson Barboza at 9, and Giga at 10
Mm-hmm.
keeps him firmly locked into that top 10.
Yeah. Now, Giga would be a good one. I prefer Giga versus Yair just because we already got that tension brewing. I don't know if I'm sold on the rematch already with Edson Barboza, with the both coming off of losses. I just don't
Edson's
know.
off a win.
Sorry, Edson off a win. I'm tripping big time. It's a good fight, but I think there's two better ones right now. What about the fight that we're supposed to get, Blake, but never got with Dan Ige and Bryce Mitchell?
That's a big step for Bryce.
Mm-hmm. Do you
I don't
think
know
not
because
ready for
Bryce
that one?
Bryce is
I mean,
he's
at
just
12.
been so inactive, dude. He's been
Yeah.
injured.
Yeah.
So that's a really tough one to put together. I'd be more leaning towards a Sadiq Yusuf for Bryce Mitchell.
Sadiq Yusuf would be good. Or I would also really, for Dan Ige, I also like Arnold Allen. Arnold Allen, 16-1 right now. Two really solid fighters. Arnold Allen, the only problem is that Arnold Allen is 7. Dan is probably likely going to drop behind Edson Barboza now after this loss. I wouldn't, or at least I wouldn't be
I
surprised.
don't know. I think he might stay where he's at.
I
Honestly,
wouldn't be
mean,
surprised if he drops, but also yeah, he could stay there. It's
I think
gonna
he
be
could stay at
interesting
8.
to see where they put him. It's gonna be weird.
But yeah, that Arnold Allen fight would be sweet.
But wouldn't that be a banger? That's hands down Blake's banger.
Yeah,
Right?
easy,
So,
easy.
I'd be a fan of that. Arnold Allen's riding a crazy streak of fights. He lost in just his 7th fight of his career.
He's on a 10-fight win streak right now.
Yeah.
With 2 performances of the Knights.
So, who that sounds like 50K Ige to me, man.
He is
50K Arnold
unbeaten
Allen.
since 2014.
Isn't that good? Isn't that? Arnold Allen's really been just busting his way up the rankings of this division. Dude, this 145 weight division, it's so damn good, and we're still waiting on Josh Emmett to come back too. Still waiting on them, and it's been like a couple days ago as a recording. It was the 1-year anniversary of his fight against Shane Burgos. So,
It's crazy that was just a year ago. It
I
seems
miss
like
him,
it's
man.
2 years ago.
I miss him so much.
I mean, looking at some of these names, Allen's, just to get off on a little tangent again. I
Yeah.
mean, he's already beat Yusuf, Melendez, Nick Lentz, split decision against Makwan Amirkhani. I mean, some really good names on his resume already. I'd love to see that Dan Ige fight. That'd be super cool.
That'd
They're
be
both pretty
really-
young too.
Right. That'd be a good career win for either of those guys, you know?
It would be. It's the opposite of boxing. You know, they're kind of fighting in their primes. 2 of the best.
And imagine that. Just another reason that MMA is the way better sport than boxing. But I would love those fights. We'd love to see what you guys think about that. A lot of options right now for Dan Ige, actually, which is really good. All of them are going to be great fights. So,
Yeah, he didn't lose a lot, but I mean, obviously he did lose a lot, but
Yeah.
it's not like he's gonna get crapped down in the rankings. No one's gonna fault him for losing to a guy like Korean Zombie, who
You mean a title challenger, one of the greatest in this division
Yeah.
in history? Crazy.
probably one of the biggest names in the UFC and hasn't won a title. So
Yeah. I mean, you probably put him top three in that one, and no one will
for right now, I'd say he's like top 5, top 10.
all time when it ends. I hope he gets a title win, but if he doesn't, man, he's gonna be one of the best to ever do it. That's never gone to gold.
That's never gotten a title. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, then I agree with that. Yes.
yeah. So, hey, man, that just give me one of those fights, man, and I'd be super happy with it. But kind of one thing I was talking about is going after this, skipping a couple of the fights to talk about, because we had 2 split decisions out of the 12 fights on this card. One being against Martinez and Parisian, and then the other one between Nick and Kamur. Do you think that there's an actual judging problem in MMA, especially with Roy McDonald's robbery in PFL last week? Do you think there's something they need to change? Is there something wrong with it? Because people have to remember, it's not the promotions that have these problems. It's not the promotion's fault that there's bad judges. It's the athletic commissions. It's the state athletic commissions, as all judges are appointed by the athletic commission. So do you think there's a problem, or do you think it's not as big of a worry right now? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think there's a problem,
Okay.
but it's hard to put it into words, and it's hard to like, because it's not like it's not like it's every fight is what I'm trying to say.
It's not an epidemic.
It's not with every fight. It's not with every card, but for some reason, it's like there's 1 or 2 fights every other card or so that are just awful.
Yeah.
Like the complete wrong person wins the fight.
Kimura won this fight. He
And
absolutely won this fight.
and it just totally changes some people's trajectory. Like sometimes if you lose a fight, that could be the end of your career. Like say you're on a loss streak and you lose a split decision, boom, you're cut. You got to find a new job. You got to get a real job now.
Well,
or not
Roy
a real
McDonald's
job, but
case, luckily the way he had enough points to make the playoffs for PFL. But imagine if he didn't and he needed that fight. He would have gotten screwed out of a playoff spot.
Exactly. And so it's hard because MMA is still a relatively new sport.
Yeah, it's real fresh.
and
Especially in some of these states like New Jersey, New York, the ones that pretty recently actually made it not illegal to put on the state, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah. I almost wouldn't mind if there was like traveling judges. Just judges that everyone trusted and had, because I mean, like, why does there get to be the same referees for almost every event, but we can't have, similar judges? And I think that's the thing, is we're getting a bunch of, fresh faces in there all the time that maybe don't have the same exact experience and knowledge that some of these other guys have. Like, everyone that's a judge should know how, like what they should know what they're looking for is what I'm trying to say.
Well, a lot of the times, like a lot of these commissions, a problem that has been talked about is that they're boxing judges that have been put into MMA.
Exactly, and that's unacceptable. I think that there should be a base of knowledge that is standard for guys to be able to have people's careers in their hands. They're the ones making the decision at the end of the day. That's why it's called a decision. And they're consistent, well, maybe not consistently, but pretty regularly making some really trash decisions.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm saying this not having a dog in the fight. Like for me, for this last weekend, it was the Kamer fight. Alexi, I think his name was Alexi Kamer.
Yeah.
Alexa Kamer versus Nikolai Negumereanu. I thought Alexa won that fight. I mean, if you look at the stats, he outstruck him by just about 20 strikes. I mean, the significant strikes, he outstruck him by over 30, from the stats I'm looking at.
I even think Roque Martinez won his fight where he lost in a split decision to Josh Parisian.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I just wish that there was more accountability with the judges. Like, I wish
that there was the judges, find the judges if there's an egregious.
But I just don't think that's going to make any difference. I wish that the fighters didn't have to take the brunt of it, because they're the ones that get screwed at the end of the day. Whoever should have rightfully won, and the other guy lucks out, and that kind of sucks in my opinion.
All I know is that the world needs some more Chris Lees and a lot less Saul Diamados, because why is Saul everywhere? It's the worst. But that's going to do it. Let us know your thoughts on that one. Let us know if you think that there's a problem with judging in MMA, or if you think it's not too big of a deal, or it might become a big deal soon. And give us your thoughts about all the action from UFC Vegas 29. But we're going to go from 29 to 30. Blake, man. You might have had a little bit, it ended up working out really well for you, but we're going through this, you had a little bit of a tough time trying to figure out your Blake's bangers for UFC Vegas 29. Not really the case for this weekend's card, is it?
I had a tough time this week, but it was the opposite, is because there's too much to choose from. I think this weekend's card is gonna be fantastic. I mean, make sure you guys tune in for the prelims. Yes. We got our friend of the show, Justin James, fighting as the second fight against Charles Rosa.
Shout out to Justin James, man. If you haven't caught one of the great interviews we've had on this channel, go ahead and check out the first one we did last year after his win in July. Actually, the same guy on the cards. I think it was the guy that's headlining this card in Alexander Volkov was also one of the headliners of his first card back, I think, last June, actually.
Yeah, it was early summer, I want to say.
Yeah. So that was, I'm 99% sure it was in June. That's like UFC Vegas 3, I believe it was. So that's how fresh it was. But he goes in against Frank Camacho, and he gets a knockout within the first minute, a standing knockout in his debut into the promotion. In the promotion where he signed with the UFC on Tuesday, fought that Saturday. So this man is insane. So I go check out that interview, but also his most recent one we did, previewing his upcoming fight, Charles Rosa. Also talking about how he rode a freaking whale. So if you want to hear about how he rode a whale, you should go listen to that. But Blake, please carry on.
Yeah, and so that fight will be the second fight, Justin James versus Charles Rosa on this card, probably about 10:30 a.m. I'd imagine. What's crazy to me is Yancy Medeiros, who used to be kind of a big name in that Hawaii gang. He's actually opening this whole card, so kind of a slight fall from grace. This is
a early card. Forgot.
Yeah, this starts at 10 a.m. on Saturday.
Imagine living Pacific time, Mountain time,
best time in the world.
No, so 11 o'clock, baby.
You all right?
I'm the best.
Yeah, you all right?
All right.
Mountain time sucks, bro. No one knows what mountain time even is.
Hey, that's why. It's underrated.
Yeah, that's trash. You'd never know what time it is around there.
Imagine being in Pacific time, man. Imagine having to stay up.
Dude, imagine getting to watch all of the amazing events all over the world and still get to go to bed by about 10:30.
Hey,
it's great.
Early bedtime's overrated. Actually, just kidding. It's not great. Overrated. It's really good for you. Get to bed early, kids, and get 8 hours of sleep. This is a healthy show. Can you put down the text now? Are we a health show now?
No. We're not.
Damn.
There's too much trash talk.
Trash talk is healthy.
We get the blood pumping.
Blood flow is healthy. And see, Blake, the more we talk about it, the more a health show. But please, let's stop getting on these stupid tangents.
So now, looking at the main card here, we got some really good fights coming up here too. Renato Moicano versus Jai Herbert. Don't know too much about the Herbert guy, but you guys should know who Moicano is. He's fought the best of the best. Calvin Kattar beat Cub Swanson. He's fought Jose Aldo. I mean, just the list goes on and on. He's a very, very respected and, just a veteran, man, even though he's still pretty young. And then this other guy that we have on here, Kennedy, I don't want to say his last name, Nchukwu. I think that's how we decided we're going to pronounce it.
That's pretty good. That's a good call. Just waiting for if John Anik's doing this card or whoever is there. The commentators always come in clutch, give us the proper pronunciations of this.
These guys are going to be some light heavyweights throwing down him and Danilo Marquez. 6'4" for Kennedy, 6'5" for Danilo. These are some big boys.
Combined records of 17-3.
Yeah. So that's another fight.
3. My math was not good.
That's another fight that I'm going to be looking for. But to take us into Blake's bangers, though, let's hope that I hit as well as I did last week.
Hey, you got some hype to live up to, man.
Number one, it's going to be a welterweight scrap between Tim Means and Nicholas Dalby. Dalby, if you remember, took Darren Till to a draw back in the day, and he's had I believe he was a champion in one of those European promotions. I cannot remember what
Cage Warriors.
Cage Warriors, yes, thank you. And then Andre Fili versus Daniel Pineda. That's going to be my second banger. Feely, Sacramento Dog, uh,
Hey, Team Alpha Male,
Pineda.
baby.
He's not got the most impressive record,
He's
but
always
he's
a
had
fun guy.
some. Yeah, he's had some. I mean, he beat up Herbert Burns in a crazy fight, if you remember that.
My best nickname in the UFC, Andre Touchy Feely.
Yes. So I, yeah, that's a great nickname, honestly. And some people hate on that. I don't get it.
I think it's perfect, man. It's so creative, man. I mean, how
Yeah,
could you not?
it goes
Touchy
right with
Feely.
it. Touchy feely. He's a fighter, man. It's perfect.
If only he was like an extreme grappler too.
He has that wrestling base, but yeah, he is more. He was much more of a kickboxer striker,
Oh, he's
and
super
that's
exciting.
why I picked this as a banger because I think these guys are going to go out there and throw down.
Yes.
My last banger of the week: Tanner Boser versus OSP, Ovince
Mm,
St. Preux. I think this is a big prove it fight for both of these guys, but kind of
yes.
on the opposite sides of the spectrum.
Mm,
It's OSP. Does he belong in the heavyweight, top 15? Is he going to start climbing the rankings? And for Boser, it's kind of establishing that you're here and you're not scared of anybody.
mm-hmm.
So I'm really looking forward to those three fights specifically. But I mean, man, I could just keep going on and on about this fight, and we haven't even brought up the main event yet, which is
Right.
going to be great.
I think I would like to point out before we get to that main event, our predictions with that. Let's talk about Ronaldo Moicano and Jai Herbert because, I mean, Moicano has fought some of the best. Man, this guy going back to 2014. Listen to listen to names he's fought. I guess most recently in 2017, he's been through Jeremy Stevens. He's been through Brian Ortega, Cub Swanson, Calvin Cater, Chan Sung Jung, the aforementioned Korean zombie that we just talked about, Jose Aldo. Back in 2020, it was Rafael Fiziev. This guy has fought some tough fighters. He's won a lot of those fights. So I'm really looking forward to this one. But Blake, let's get on into that main event. When this was first announced as the fight they were going with, I was really happy with this one because Cyril Gane gets that big win over Rosenstruik, and now they pair him up against a nicely ranked opponent in Alexander Volkov, a guy
Big
that's
win, air quotes.
dominant win.
I just didn't like that fight.
I know no one liked that fight, but it's okay. Is what it is at this point.
This needs to be a big win for him if he wants to keep moving up. I mean,
That's what I
he
think,
needs
though.
he needs to be more aggressive than this fight.
Right, but Gon somehow he moves up to number 3, so I still think Volkov should be ranked higher. But I understand it from the UFC. But Alexander Volkov, a true veteran in this game, and I really like.
I think did you go on in the detail on their age? How I think they're 1 year apart
I
from
was
each other.
actually. It's funny that you talk about that. I was just about to bring up that stat, Blake. So you're in my
Yes,
head. Congrats on that one. But
you know.
let me see if I could bring that up. That was I remember MMA on Point put out a solid graphic on that one, and
So I
so
mean, just doing basic math here, buddy.
look at this.
41 fights to 8 fights
Yes.
and 1 year difference in age.
So Alexander Volkov, 32. Cyril Gane, 31. Like you said, Volkov, 41 fights. Gane, 8 fights. Alexander Volkov, 33 wins. Gane, 8 wins. So this is insane, but it's going to be a really cool matchup, man. I'm hyped for it. And if Gon could get this, he's probably going to be the next guy to get a title shot, maybe besides Stipe. I mean, we still don't actually know who's going to get the title shot. We're all assuming
No,
it's
Dana has come out and said it's Lewis's.
yeah, but I'm just
He
waiting.
has come out recently and said it is Derek
He-
Lewis's fight.
He has, but it's not official, so I'm always going to be weary until it is
Sure.
official. So, also, it's John Jones. I don't think John Jones is really going to fight again, but you just never know with that, man. It's kind of crazy. And it's still kind of stupid that he's number 1 on top of the pound-for-pound rankings, but I digress. I like that. I think Gon needs a knockout, though, in this fight. But Volkov, he can get right back up there if he gets a win over this guy.
Yeah, like I was saying, I think Gon needs an impressive win just to keep that momentum going because I think the sail kind of got punctured a little bit, so to say, in that Rosenstruik win. It just wasn't, the most entertaining of fights. And I know that sounds casual, but this is an entertainment sport. You got to have something that draws interest, for the casuals, for the people that are interested in this sport. You need to have something that leaves that, desire to watch you again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he failed to do that last time.
Hey, big fight for either of these guys. Who are you taking? Official prediction time.
Ah, man. Look at the tail of the tape. 6'6" Volkov versus 6'3" Gon. 250, 245 is what they walked in at last time. Gon surprisingly has the 1-inch reach advantage.
Got some long arms.
You know, I'm just gonna say Gon. I don't know why. I just think dude has it in him. I don't think they would push a guy this hard if he wasn't a spec.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think
who
this
knows?
guy's
Maybe
a
Volkov
spec.
pieces him up. I don't know. But I think Gon is gonna go in there and kind of do the Francis Ngannou, what Ngannou did to Rosenstruik a little bit. You know how he just
rush
kind of
him.
just rush on him like a silverback gorilla.
If this fight ends within the first 1 or 2 rounds, it probably ends in Gon's favor. If it makes it past 2 into 3, 4, 5, I really like I like Volkov in this one. The longer it goes.
In that last fight, though, Gon proved he can play that fight too.
Yeah, but also I don't think Rosenstruik was the guy to beat someone in a long drawn out fight. Too is the problem there. So
no, it's definitely. I think it's going to come down to can Gon implement
also
wrestling.
Rosenstruik a lot similar to Gon in terms of experience and number of fights. Volkov is a totally different animal. So I like Volkov the longer it gets into the fight. That's why I'll pick Volkov in this one, but I'm kind of in a toss up.
Okay, so you're going Volkov.
Yeah, we gotta get a little bit of difference on this one, right?
That's fine. You're going to be wrong.
Hey, that's fine. You're gonna be right on your Blake Spakers because you always hit.
Always. And I'm going to take your Suck My Pick title on July 10th.
No, you're not.
So keep that spit shine for
I'm
me.
going to get my 3rd consecutive title defense of that. I'm going to tie your record so I can go on to get my 4th and breaker record, and it's going to be a great time, Blake. I don't know what to tell you.
Ties are only for shirts, bud. Keep dreaming.
Oh, that's kind of maybe put down a shirt. Yeah. Hey.
That's what the champ says, bruh.
Hey, man. Hey.
The champ.
But you're not the champ. Right now, I am the champ. So.
I am the ex-champ. You will never attain that status.
I will next
Episode
month.
over. Thank you very much.
No, episode's only over when I say it's over, and it's over after the Nay of the Week, Blake, the best segment in all of sports. And I just got a real easy one this time, and it's kind of going back into what I said into the intro of this. Is that my real Nay of the Week is anyone that doubted this card, because I didn't have like high expectations, but I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a good card, this is gonna be really solid stuff, and all it did was blow all of us out the water. So there's so many haters, I swear. The MMA Twitters, some of the most fickle people in the world, and it kind of hurts to read through it sometimes, but it's my job, so I have to be on there. A lot of people hating on this card, a lot of people doubting. All those doubters were proved wrong, so I'm going to go and give them my award for Nay of the Week. I liked mine better because, we hit... I think last week's Blake, that fan that tried to get on us at Twitter, that's probably the biggest Nay that we've gotten in terms... That's probably the hardest hitting Nay of the Week award that we've given out, but this, it's well-deserved to these fans, though.
I thought you were going to go with Violent Bob Ross. I was like, oh, that's jacked up.
No, that's just... that'll be messed up.
Hey,
I'm not that mean.
I'm hoping Violent Bob Ross gets the help he needs,
Yes.
And clearly wants, and hopefully whatever transpired, he can move past that and make it right.
Right. Obviously hoping that situation just ends as best as possible. But Blake, your thoughts on Gon versus Volkov in one word or phrase?
Shoot, I don't have much coming up to mind in this one. Let's just get it on is all I gotta say. Let's get ready to rumble, because you're fighting for, probably, if not the next title shot, the second. So Let's get it on.
It's a real important one. Love that, Blake. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for sticking on to the end. Before we count things off, just want to give a quick thank you to our very much appreciated Patreon supporters. Shout out to Ray Rodriguez. And for all your card collecting needs, go on over to Instagram and follow at the Big Bat Box. Shout out to Brian Watson and Neil Wiley in his YouTube channel, Chosen Problems. You guys are always the best. Love you. You're the best fans in the world. And we will see all of you after UFC Vegas 30.